Hello again. I'm fascinated by mythology and legend, and in particular, I enjoy watching the emergence of new legends and myths and seeing the way in which they become established. In the last 20 years, one such set of legends has been created from literally nothing, but these are now spoken of as though they were true, rather than being free creations of the human imagination. I'm speaking of the tales of supposed civilisations in Africa which arose spontaneously in that continent. These include Zimbabwe, Axum, Benin, and Pharaonic Egypt. Before going any further, we should ask ourselves what we mean by a civilization. What marks out a culture or society as being a civilization? There are a few generally accepted criteria. First, the society must be literate and able to keep records. There must be specialised division of labour, a system of government, surplus food, and also trade networks. Then too, monumental architecture must be present. We see, of course, that by these standards, ancient Greece and Rome, as well as the Aztecs and Egypt at the time of the pharaohs, were all civilisations. Zimbabwe was not. There were some dry stone walls there, but the people were living in mud huts and had no written language. This was not, by any definition, a civilization. The same goes for the culture of Benin, which was also pre-literate. Some viewers might have heard that Benin was a walled city, but this is not true. Like Zimbabwe, it was part of a period in African history which might not inaptly be named the Mud Age. The famous walls were really just banks of mud, the traces of which may still be seen. We come now to the culture of Axum, which flourished in what is now Ethiopia. There can be no doubt at all that this was a civilization, for there was writing, a complex society, monumental architecture, trading with other parts of the world, and so on. The only problem is that this was not an African civilization. The written language in the Ge'ez script dates back in Axum to about 1000 BC. Modern Amharic is written in a script based on this. It is a variation of the South Arabian script which was in use in that part of the Arabian Peninsula which is now Yemen. Ge'ez is a Semitic writing system, and the modern languages of Ethiopia and Eritrea, Amharic and Tigrinya, are Semitic languages, similar to Arabic and Hebrew. Axum was essentially an Arab colony. This is part of a widespread trend in East Africa. One thinks of Swahili, which is written in Arabic script and contains many words in Arabic, and also the way that many Somalis even today speak a version of Arabic. As for ancient Egypt, this was not an indigenous African culture either. The pharaohs, people such as Tutankhamun, were descended from the same population who introduced agriculture to Europe. They came from the area around the Black Sea. We know this because when Tutankhamun's DNA was analysed a few years ago, the R1B1A2 DNA haplogroup was found, which is very common in Western Europe. About 70% of Spanish men have it, but extremely rare among modern Egyptians, where only perhaps 1% have it. Ancient Egypt was a civilization which was founded by people who came to the area from what is now Turkey and the Eastern Mediterranean. The idea of indigenous African civilizations is a piece of nonsense, a modern fairy tale devised to make people feel better about their historic origins. There is perhaps no harm in such fantasies, as long as we don't take them too seriously.